Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saturday night edition of K-More Sports. We got a big show planned for you tonight as we preview the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans get ready to face off Sunday afternoon, a battle of 8-3 ball clubs. And I got a very special guest in the house tonight, my former teammate from the University of Texas and also NFL great and former Cleveland Brown, Eric Metcalf, will be in the house tonight. He will help us break down this game between the Titans and the Browns, talk about those two great running backs, Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. And yes, last but not least, we will talk about the Texas Longhorns, the state of the program, and will Tom Herman return? We'll have all that for you next in 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us tonight. And before we get started, I'd like to invite you to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, get your comments in the comments section. And we have the man, Eric Metcalf, live from Seattle tonight in his fantastic studio, decked out. I'm a little bit jealous of that studio, my man, Eric. But nice to have you on tonight, and thank you for joining the show. How's it going, my man? Can you hear me okay, Eric? Looks like his screen may have frozen up there. We'll try to get him straight here in just a second. But tonight is going to be a fantastic show as we try to talk about this game tonight, try to break everything down between the Titans and the Browns, along with talk about what's going on with the Texas Longhorns. We'll see if we can get Eric's connection straight there in just a moment. But a big ball game coming up on tomorrow between the Browns and the Titans. Both teams 8-3 on the season. Tennessee leading the AFC South by virtue of two consecutive wins the last 2 weeks, beating the Baltimore Ravens, beating the Indianapolis Colts, and the Cleveland Browns coming in winners of 3 in a row. They had a tough win last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 27-25. And I think we have Eric back in the house, had a few internet connections there. How's that connection now, Eric? Can you hear me okay? All right, looks like we still may be having some connection issues with Eric. We're trying to, you know how it is with a live show. Things can sometimes go haywire with the internet. See if we can get him in here. Can you hear me all right, Eric?
I can hear you, but it's breaking up for some reason. I might just do it off my phone, be a little easier. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I don't see this. I don't know. But it's going in and out, so I can barely hear you. Shoot.
You can barely hear me? Okay. We can try to reconnect.
Let me do. Let me do this.
Okay.
Let me do this.
Just bear with us, folks. It's live.
I'm gonna get
live internet, so.
Yeah. Let me get off of this. Let me do this because this is
all right.
upsetting me right now.
No problem. Take your time, my man. We're gonna let Eric get set up, and he's gonna reconnect with us momentarily while he gets his technical difficulties squared away. But we're going to talk about this game tomorrow between the Titans and the Browns. Huge matchup for both ball clubs. Big game for the Browns. They're sandwiched right now with a number of teams trying to get into the playoffs, with the Colts, the Miami Dolphins, the Las Vegas Raiders. They trailed the Pittsburgh Steelers by 3 games in the AFC North. The Titans, of course, with a game lead over the Indianapolis Colts, as they beat the Colts last week in Indy rather decisively in that ball game, 45-26. Derrick Henry had a huge game in that one. A number of injuries we have to discuss tonight. We got some breaking news. Haven't been able to confirm it yet on Isaiah Wilson. There was a report out that he may be under a 1-game suspension from the Titans. We'll try to get that confirmed at some point here tonight. Of course, a number of injuries for both ball clubs. Myles Garrett will be back for the Cleveland Browns. Jonnu Smith out for the Tennessee Titans. We'll get into all of that. So now let's see if we got Eric back in the house. How's that connection, Eric?
That's better, man. That's better. Sorry about that, bro.
Oh, no, you good, my man. You good. You good. First of all, welcome to the show. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you had a lot of things going on this weekend. You're involved in a lot of things with the Cleveland Browns and a lot of things on the West Coast. We got you live from Seattle here tonight. First of all, happy holidays. How are you? How is the family doing, first and foremost?
Hey, man, appreciate it, and happy holidays to you. But my family's doing well. I mean, wife and kids are good. My son is in Arizona because he plays football at Arizona State, so he's down there. Not playing right now because he tore his ACL a couple of weeks ago, and just had surgery, so he's not playing. But he's down there. My wife and daughters are here, and everybody's home safe and trying to keep it safe, bro.
All right, good deal, my man. Good deal, good deal. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you had an outstanding career at the University of Texas, tremendous NFL career. Tell us what's going on with you these days. What's keeping you busy right now, my man?
Well, just life, just happy to be alive. But on a serious note, I do consulting with Nike Track and Field, and so that keeps me real busy, especially during the summers where they're actually able to compete, and have a lot of meets overseas.
Yeah, and of course you had looks like we may have frozen you there again. But just I'm going to go ahead and look at some of your numbers while you were in the NFL. Tremendous career, 13-year career, nearly 8,000 yards from scrimmage, 43 touchdowns, 12 receiving return touchdowns as well. Looks like we may have lost Eric again there with the connection kind of going in and out. But looking at some of his numbers, tremendous NFL career, 13-year career. And the thing that impressed me the most about your career, Eric, is that we don't see a lot of all-purpose running backs last that long in the NFL and still be productive later in their career. What was most fun for you playing football? Was it touching the ball as an offensive threat, or was it on the special teams because you were a heck of a return guy? 10 punt returns in your career for touchdowns, 2 kickoff returns for you. What was the funnest part of being in the NFL? What was the most fun part for you?
I just wanted to score touchdowns. I wanted the ball in my hands, and it didn't really matter if I was playing offense as a running back, split out as a receiver, or special teams. I just wanted the opportunities to have the ball and the opportunity to score, and so that's what made it fun for me. I think when people look at my career and everybody thinks, oh, he's a running back, his numbers weren't very good, but I'm not a running back. I'm a football player, or I was a football player, I should say. And so I was an all-purpose guy. Like, I had 500 receptions, and I don't know how many carries or whatever I had, but I know at the end of my career it was over 17,000 plus yards, and that's a lot of yards. It was actually the top 10 at the time of my retirement. So, it's just fun being all over the field and be able to contribute in any kind of way I can. But like going back to the original question, what's most fun? Scoring touchdowns.
Well, the most fun for me, man, was seeing you on special teams. And like I said, I was just a walk on at UT, and I'm walking around and seeing you guys and Deron Norris. I'm like, man, I don't know if I belong on the field with these guys, But I was out there giving it all myself, man. But no, it was a pleasure playing with you, my man. It was a pleasure watching you grow, watching you succeed. It was a lot of things that I took a lot of pride in when I bragged to my friends, like, hey, that's my man right there. He really should be considered
No doubt.
for the Hall of Fame. And I think you're very worthy of considerations considering your all-around talents.
See, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn and all that, but when we start talking about the Hall of Fame, I would have to agree with you. And I mean, like I said, 17,000 yards at the time of my retirement. I mean, I had, like, once again, over 500 receptions, and there are some receivers in the league, in the Hall of Fame, who have less receptions than me. And then
Right.
at one point, I had most punt returns. I had the most combined kick and punt returns at one time. There are a lot of superlatives that I'm the first to be, and so I think when you're pigeonholed into one position, especially a person like myself, when you're pigeonholed into one position, it makes it hard for voters to say, oh, he should be in the Hall of Fame. Whereas you open your eyes and open the book, and then you look at all that I did throughout my career in different positions, winning games, and I could say in 4 different positions, as a punt returner, a kick returner, a receiver, and a running back. I've actually won games in those 4 positions. And so until people have the ability to, not the ability, realize and wake up that and understand that special teams players and all-purpose guys contribute to this game, then we're all going to be left out, because there's a ton of players who are worthy because they've done a lot of things throughout their career, but they never were considered a one position player, and that's hurting us.
Right. No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. A lot of special teams guys, you look at guys like Devin Hester, and guys like that, that definitely should get Hall of Fame consideration. And then you come from great lineage. Your dad was a heck of a football player. If people don't remember, Terry Metcalf with the old St. Louis Cardinals. And by the way, I need to say this. My aunt says hi. She was a huge Terry Metcalf fan when I was a kid. And I remember when I was in college, she'd always tell me, tell Eric hello, tell his dad hello. And she didn't even know you guys, but I know she was a huge fan of your dad, but your dad was a heck of a football player. What was it like being the son of a great football player? Obviously, that had to help you in your career. Now your son is playing at Arizona State. Talking about having your father as that father figure to help you up and to help you to get to the success that you've had thus far.
First of all, tell your aunt I said hello. and let's do that. And then, I think having a father who played in the NFL was what made me who I am on the football field and as a person. I mean, when we talk about it, and I didn't think I really talked about it as much when I was younger, but my mother and father had me when they were in high school. And so they were young when they had me, 17, 18 years old. And so me watching my dad play, I got to see my dad play in college. I got to see my dad play early in the NFL, and I was able to understand it because of the age difference. And so that was someone that I aspired to be from day one, from the time I saw him playing football. I was like, oh yeah, I want to be just like him. And so he went on to have a very good career. He made 3 Pro Bowls, and everything, and actually held the all-purpose records yards for a season at one point. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to get. I never got that opportunity, but he was someone I wanted to be. So it made it fun to have a father who was successful in the league. I mean, I don't know how fun it is if you're trying to follow in your father's footsteps in the same sport and you're not very good at it.
Right.
But it's fun because I was pretty good at it, you know.
Right. How difficult has it been for your son? Obviously, having a dad that was an excellent football player, having a granddad that was an excellent football player. Does he feel the pressure to be the next Metcalf in line to succeed? And again, he's at
You know,
Arizona State being coached by former NFL head coach and Herm Edwards.
yeah, I mean, and on the Herm Edwards team, I think they have like 7 or 8 players on that team whose fathers were former NFL players, and so there was guys who, you know, they believe in Herm, and they know that he's gonna treat them right and teach them how to be men. But you know, I don't think my son feels the pressure. I mean, the pressure that I think I felt. I mean, we've never really talked about it, but the pressure I felt was I wanted to be just like my dad. Actually, I wanted to be better than my dad, and it was more natural because we're the same size and we did the same things, and so it would be easy for someone to compare Eric Metcalf to Terry Metcalf, and if I wasn't good, oh, he's not as good as dad. I think the one thing that my son has going for him is that he's not built like us. He's not 5'10" or 5'11", 190 pounds. He's 6'4", 200
Wow.
pounds. And so people won't expect a guy of that size to be as shifty or as fast as that. So it makes it easier where they don't have to compare the ability in that regard. And so I think he gets lucky in that respect, but I think if there is the pressure, I think it's on himself because he just wants to be good and do big things like we did.
All right. Well, good luck to him, man. I know you mentioned earlier that he's recovering from a knee injury, so Godspeed to him, and I wish him a full recovery and a healthy 2021 season. Back to you a little bit. Now, you're a West Coast guy. You came to Austin, nice weather in Texas, and then you get
Mm-hmm.
drafted by the Cleveland Browns. What was it like? What were your initial thoughts knowing that you're going to Cleveland, Ohio? You're going to be playing in frigid conditions in December and January. How did you adjust to that? And how were you able to perform successfully in that type of environment with the dog pound and all the crazy battles in the old AFC Central with the Oilers and the Steelers and the Bengals? Just talk about those early years in Cleveland and getting adjusted to those conditions in Cleveland.
Well, you know, like you said, I'm a West Coast guy. I'm born and raised in Seattle. I went to high school. I only went to high school 1 year in Seattle. And then I finished high school in Virginia when my dad finished with the Redskins. So I went from Virginia to Austin. And so,
Okay.
you know, and it was different because, you know, I got there, I got to Austin once again, you know, it's 80 degrees every day. And we're playing on AstroTurf, which is fun and fast track for me. And I loved every bit of it. And so, you know, and I thought it was cool. And, you know, the ultimate goal when you're playing in college or when you're a little kid, you think, I want to be in the NFL. So at that very moment, when you're drafted, you're excited because I made it. This is all I've ever wanted, and I made it. Now I got to go do something. And so that's getting drafted by the Cleveland Browns. I never really thought about the Cleveland Browns and me being a Cleveland Brown. I wanted to play in LA. I wanted to be in some warm weather and be a star in LA on Hollywood Boulevard. That was my thought. And then, you know, I got drafted by the Browns, and shortly after the draft, we had mini camp. And this is getting to your and I'm not practicing. I'm not going through mini camp because I didn't have a contract. They weren't giving me an insurance policy in case I got hurt. And so my agent was like, don't practice. And so I'm cool. So I'm standing around at minicamp, but it's May and it starts snowing. Never gonna work, bro, because I'm coming from Austin, Texas, 80 degrees, and I'm playing on AstroTurf. And now it's snowing in May, so I can't even imagine what it's gonna be like in November, December, January, snowing and cold and frigid on natural grass. And I'm gonna have to admit that field was actually terrible, especially in the dead of the winter, right? And so,
Right,
but
right, right.
once I got there, I held out my rookie year and got there for the last preseason game. And once I got there, they hazed me a little bit, but not much because I think they knew that I was gonna be able to help the team out. And so the guys took me in like I had been there for years. Some of them said I act like I've been in the league for 10 years
Yeah.
when I got there. And about if you're winning, when you're losing, it's like 15 degrees colder. And so that's what you have to worry about. That's what
Right.
you have to worry about. But just getting used to it, and when your adrenaline's going, you're having a good game. It's no big deal.
Okay. Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Well, hey man, let's dig deep. Let's get into the current iteration of the Cleveland Browns, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the Browns right now. Eric's still having a little bit of connection difficulty there. We'll get him back in just a moment. But once we get Eric back on the line, we'll talk about the Cleveland Browns obviously playing our Tennessee Titans this week. Are they contenders or are they pretenders? And we'll get into that in just a moment. I'm gonna kind of change up the rundown just a little bit while Eric gets reconnected. And let's go to the Titans and what's going on with them right now. They will be without on tomorrow. Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith will be out tomorrow. He has a knee injury, so he will be out of the lineup on tomorrow. So how will that affect the Titans' passing game? How will that affect the Titans' running game? As we bring Eric back in, can you still hear me, Eric? How's your connection now?
I can hear you.
Okay, good deal, good deal. We're about to dive deep into this Titans Browns matchup tomorrow. I was just letting the audience know that Jonnu Smith, the best tight end for the Titans, is going to be out of that ball game tomorrow. Your thoughts on losing a tight end? What does it mean for an offense? What does it mean for a running back when your best tight end is out of the lineup?
I think it's what's more important is how is he used when he is there, for each particular team. If you're the Cleveland Browns and you're a tight end heavy team where you play 2 and 3 tight ends throughout the course of the game, then that really matters because the play action, catching ball and be able to block as well because they move around from on the line of scrimmage, off the line of scrimmage, and even into the backfield as fullbacks sometimes. So when you have guys who you're using like that, it's the big tremendous. It's tremendous in how it affects your offense. But these guys are geniuses. They know what they're doing out there. They know how to get their players involved. They know how to move people around, put them in position to make plays you'll think the tight end was out there anyway.
Yep. And we were just about to get into the Browns. What about the Cleveland Browns this year, my man? I mean, they've had a real easy schedule. They're 7-0 against teams that are less than 500. They're 1-3 against teams over 500. They got crushed by Pittsburgh and Baltimore earlier this year. Are the Browns contenders or are they pretenders?
I'm going to say that they're contenders because they won the games. They're on their schedule, right? You can't just say we want to play this team because they have a winning record. You can only play the schedule that you're given. The key is winning games you're supposed to and sneaking a couple games that you're not expected to win. And I think they've done that because no one expected them to be Indianapolis, but they did do that. And so, they're not the best Cleveland Brown version that you will see because there's been so many injuries on both sides of the ball. Chubb just came back a couple of weeks ago. We've had Taylor and Hubbard and all these offensive linemen have been out. Hooper was out at tight end. Of course, Odell is out. Of course, Jarvis has been hurt, so he's playing sparingly. And so it's been hard for them to get a rhythm on offense. And then when you flip to the other side, Miles has been out. Denzel Ward is out. Greedy, of course, hasn't been playing. The safeties, every safety is getting hurt every week. Linebackers have been out. And so, once again, when you have no continuity, it's going to be hard to stop teams. So I think when you get the full package of the Cleveland Browns, I'm not going to say that they're going to go up in there and beat down the door and win the Super Bowl. But I'm saying they have the team and with the ability to go out there and get to the playoffs and win games. And they do, and they have that team, especially on offense, because the run game travels. The Titans fans know that run games travel. And if you can run the ball, you always give yourself a chance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one of your injured guys is going to be back tomorrow. Myles Garrett, he will return. He's missed the last couple of games being out with the coronavirus. He was activated earlier this week. So him and his 9.5 sacks will be trying to harass Ryan Tannehill tomorrow. He'll be going up against the Titans' third string left tackle. Talk about injuries. The Titans have lost both of their left tackles. Last week, they had to start David Quisenberry, his first NFL start, and I believe he's been in the league 8 years, but he had a tremendous game last week against the Indianapolis Colts. How much havoc can Myles Garrett cause an offense with their third string left tackle?
Well, a lot, because we've seen him cause havoc with the first team tackles. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter who's out there. Myles Garrett is one of those. So you got the Myles Garrett, you have T.J. Watt, you have Aaron Donald, you have certain guys out there. That doesn't matter who is in front of them. They're going to get to the quarterback, and in doing so, that forces offensive line coach or offensive coordinator to double team these guys. And that's where the other guys have to get off and make plays. If Myles Garrett is getting double and triple team, he might not make the play, but right in my mind, that's still creating a lot of havoc because you have changed the scheme of what the offense is trying to do. And so regardless of Myles getting sacks, which I know he will get some, he always does, but by the offense and the offensive coordinators having the scheme against him, that has changed what they really want to do because he's just that vicious on defense.
What do people think about Myles Garrett right now? Not only off the field, but off the field. And I bring that up because this is the first time that Titans fans have seen Myles Garrett since the incident last year against the Steelers. We all saw it with Mason Rudolph where he hits him over the head with the helmet and he got suspended for 6 games. I bring that up because, and I'm not sure, I know you were busy this weekend. I don't know if you saw the incident down here in Texas high school football where the kid went out on the field. He got kicked out of the game and then he comes back and he runs over the referee, steamroll the referee. And then the next day, not only does he get arrested and charged with assault with a $10,000 bond, his team is kicked out of the high school playoffs here in Texas. I bring that up and I bring up Myles Garrett because I thought at the time that he only got a 6-game suspension. I personally thought he should have been suspended for a full calendar year. And the reason why is because I thought it would send a strong message, not only to NFL players, but to youth football, to college football players, that you have to have discipline on the football field. And it seems to me after this incident here in Texas that in a way we're kind of punishing 17 and 18-year-old kids more than we're punishing 24, 25, 26-year-old grown men playing in the NFL. What were your thoughts about Garrett's suspension last year, and what were your thoughts about the incident that happened here in Texas with the high school football player this year or this weekend?
Well, well, I hate to talk about it because it was last year, and at the time I was thoroughly upset that he did that because I'm a football player, and I felt like he could have possibly did real damage to that kid. But I just think everybody makes mistakes. It doesn't have to be on the football field. It's just in life, that everybody makes mistakes. And if you just try to take everything away from them, punish them, then it only makes it worse. So you give them a chance to grow from these mistakes and become better people. And I think Miles, he did something that he's not known for doing. Everybody knows he's a quiet, mild-mannered dude, and he doesn't do things. I don't know what was said. I don't know what sparked it, and I'm never going to say this happened or that happened. But the fact is, it did happen, and he's gotten past it, and no one's even talking about it anymore because he's letting his play do his talking. He's not getting in any trouble, and that's all you want. I mean, the kid in Texas, I saw it. I watched it a couple of times, and I just. It's kind of sad. I know he was upset that he got ejected, but at some point you got to, once again, it's hard in a football environment. They ask people, especially a defensive lineman, go get the quarterback, go tackle the running back, do whatever you got to do, knock his head off. That's what they're telling you every day in practice in every game. And then you're telling this same person to turn off the switch in regular life. And I think, and I know that's a hard something. That's something hard to do. You can't just turn off the switch. You can't want them to be 120% aggressive at this point, and then all of a sudden, I don't want you to show any aggression. I mean, and so when the kid made a mistake, it's a mistake, and he'll grow from it, and hopefully it'll never happen again. But it's something that's going to change his life, and it's going to be hard for him until he can get to a point where he's done something that no one ever thinks about it again. And I'm praying that he will.
Yeah, I agree with you. I hate that it got national news because it was on ESPN and everywhere. So now his name is all across everywhere. So when he goes to, apply
Right.
for college or goes to apply for jobs, I hope it does not impact the rest of his life because, like you said, we all make mistakes. And I hope that society will not demonize this kid. I hope that he can learn from his mistake. I hope that the adults at the school, his parents, can rally around this kid and help him. Of course, we do not condone what he did. I broadcast high school football here in Texas for the last 20 years. And you see some things sometimes that sometimes get out of hand, particularly in basketball games and things like that. So we have to coach up our youth. We have to educate them, and we have to help them when they make mistakes like this. And I agree with you 110% on that.
But
Now,
and
go ahead.
and what makes it crazy? What makes it crazy is that no, there are things that people have done that are far worse, but they get to go play or they get to go to college, and things doesn't happen like this to them. It's just because of sports, and it's in the news that people glorify it, and it's all over social media. But then people do far worse and have still went and played sports and have still gone on to do other things. So we have to give these kids a chance. Everything's about growth, and this is a moment that'll give them a chance to grow from.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And going back to Miles Garrett, I've seen a lot of growth from him this season. I know upcoming, even before that incident, against the Steelers. He was a guy that would sometimes get a few personal fouls in games and things of that nature, but looks like he's had a pretty clean slate so far in 2020. So we're happy to see him doing well. Titans fans do not want to see him do well on tomorrow afternoon. I'm sure about that. But let's get back into a little bit more of your wheelhouse, the running backs, the big guys that are going to battle tomorrow. Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. Your thoughts on those guys and the individual running styles of those guys? Looks like we may have lost Eric for just a moment there, so we'll try to reconnect with him. Okay, I think we got you back, Eric. We were getting off of Myles Garrett. We're hopping over to the offensive side of the ball.
I don't know what's going on there.
That's okay. It's okay. Take your time. Take your time. I got it here until you let me know when you're ready to go, and then we'll come back to you. But we were going to go into talking a little bit about the running game with Derrick Henry and Chubb. See how those guys are going to be progressing. And then we'll get to Tom Herman and the Longhorns in just a moment. But your thoughts on Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb? Who's the better running back?
Hey, it's hard to say who's the best running back because every running back is different. Everybody does it differently. And no matter who it is, they do it differently. And so it's hard to say who's the best. I know Nick Chubb is the best running back for the Cleveland Browns right now.
Right.
And that's the way they play football. He's the best running back for them, and I'm sure they think Derrick Henry is the best running back for the Titans. And so I like what they're both doing. I have to admit when Derrick Henry first got in the league, I was like, oh, he's not going to be very good, but he's definitely proven me wrong because he's rushing up for lots of yards all over everyone, and he's showing it with being a bigger guy and with speed. And that's what I like about Nick Chubb as well. They're these guys with lots of power, but they're displaying speed when they get in the open field. And so, once again, it all depends on what kind of offense you're running, what you like as a coach. If you're putting the offense together, as far as who you would consider the better player. I mean, if I was an offensive coordinator myself, I think I'm running offense, my running backs are going to be someone like Dalvin Cook or Alvin Kamara, somebody who does it all. And so who catches the ball, who can be split out, who if they had to, could return punts. And so, because that's the kind of player that I like. But once again, it's all about what you like. And I think, they're both in their perfect situations. They're on the team that work best for them.
Yeah, and when you look at these numbers, you look at Henry's numbers, 256 rushing attempts already, over 1,200 yards, averaging nearly 5 yards a carry. But then you go down and you look at Nick Chubb, and I know he's missed a couple of games, but in less than half the carries, he still has 719 yards. And when I look at this yards per carry, over 6 yards per carry, is the Cleveland Brown offensive line that good? Or is Nick Chubb that good?
I think it's a little of both. I think they work well together. I mean, because we've come into a situation where Coach Stefanski has said we're running the football first team, and that's what they're doing, and they're sticking to it. And when you can run the ball, it's demoralizing to a defense, and they're able to run the ball and see. And then you have Nick Chubb. And then when Nick gets a little tired, they throw in a Kareem Hunt. And so now you have another starting running back coming in and plowing up against the defense. And that wears the team down. So eventually what they're doing, they stick with the run a lot of play action. And then both of them or one of them will eventually break off a big run because they're sticking to what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Will a running back ever win MVP again? It seems like it always goes to the quarterback now. Can a running back win league MVP?
I think they should have the opportunity. I mean, it's almost like the Heisman Trophy. The person who has the ball the most gets the Heisman, right? It's going to take a running back to do something extraordinary. They're going to have to run for 2,000 something yards to get to that point. But I think, if once again it comes down to voters and everything. When you really look at these running backs, Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cooks and what they're doing for their team, they mean so much to their team. If they're not out there, that offense doesn't go. And so I think somebody will get the opportunity, but it's going to have to be something. They're going to do something that we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, before we get into college football, give me your take on the game tomorrow between the Titans and the Browns. I know it's going to be hard for you to go against those Browns, but who do you think comes out on top? Or if you don't want to predict the winner, give me the keys to the ball game you think for each ball club tomorrow.
I'm just going to say, I don't care. We're going to win. I don't. We're gonna win, and that's what I'm believing. And I think the keys for both teams is the trenches. Who wins at the line of scrimmage? We're both teams that, like I said, want to run the ball, and so if whoever is able to get that run established, or who's able to stop the run is going to win the game. I think it's going to be hard for both teams. It's going to be hard for both teams to stop the opposing team from running. But I think we'll make a few more plays because we have two guys instead of one.
Okay. Yeah, you got Kareem Hunt. So you got an excellent backup. I'm going to go with the Titans tomorrow. I think the Titans are just the better. I don't trust Baker Mayfield. I'll be completely honest. I don't trust Baker Mayfield. Your offensive line is great. Great picking up Jack Conklin from the Titans last year. I think he's really solidified the right side of that offensive line for the Cleveland Browns. But I just don't trust Baker Mayfield if he has to go down in a 2-minute drill or something like that for the Browns to win the ball game. What are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield and his growth and his progression? Obviously, he's doing a lot better this year with Stefanski than he did under Freddie Kitchens. What are your thoughts about the growth of Baker Mayfield before we move into some college football?
I think he has grown, and I think he's grown in the fact that he understands that he doesn't have to be the star. I mean, of course, he's not. He hasn't made all the plays that everyone expects him to make because he's the Heisman Trophy winner. He's the first pick. But I think he's now in a situation that plays to his strengths. When he was with Freddie Kitchens last year, it was more about we want Baker to look good. Let's throw the ball over the yard. Let's make him the star. But he wasn't the star. Nick Chubb was the star. And I think Coach Stefanski realizes that because he's done it in Minnesota. When he was in Minnesota, he won lots of football games and went to the playoffs with a strong running game, play action passes, and a quarterback that people honestly didn't think that was good. And so I think Baker is in a perfect situation playing with these guys because all the pressure is not on him. We can just go out there and run the ball. But like you said, there comes a time, even with this run game, that he's going to have to make winning plays, and that might be tomorrow because this is basically like a playoff game. So he's gonna have to make winning plays at some point in order for the Browns to be successful. And I think he has the capability, and I think he's the right player for this offense, and because he's not a game manager. He's better than a game manager for sure. It's just going out there and doing it when you have the opportunities.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we'll be looking forward tomorrow. We'll be checking out the game, and I'll be hitting you on the text message during the game and sees what happens. Now, before
make sure you text me if Tennessee's losing too.
I will. I will. I will. I will. I will. I will. We'll put a dinner on it. I know neither one of us is traveling right now, but the next time we see each other, we'll put dinner on the game tomorrow.
All right. All right.
All right. That's a bet. That's a bet.
Yes, sir.
All right. So before we switch over to college football, I want you guys to take a second, go hit the subscribe button, go hit the like button, put your comments in the comments section. We'll put those up for Eric and I to take a look at. And please hit that subscribe button so that we can continue to bring you this great content on K-More Sports. Now we're going to switch gears to a team that we both love and bleed, burnt orange. My man, what is wrong with our Texas Longhorns? They got a nice win today against Kansas State, but only 6-3 on the season. A very disappointing season thus far for Tom Herman. There's a lot of smoke and whatnot going on around the program. What is wrong with our Longhorns, my man?
I gotta take a smoke on that.
I'm gonna take a
drink. and a drink.
Watching the Longhorns will make you smoke and drink.
A lot. A lot. And if you don't have any self-control, sometimes you might tear up your TVs. That's why I don't hold anything in my hand. Because I might throw it. I mean, it's a weird dynamic, if you ask me. I mean, we get all these players who are 5-star players who go on to have good NFL careers, but they're not able to do it as a team week in and week out in Austin, and it's frustrating to me. I mean, and when I think about it, I look at offense more than I do defense, just obviously because I'm an offensive player. But I think about it, and I think we're not winning games because we don't have any superstars. We've had very good players. We've had good players like Devin Duvernay was very good at the University of Texas and probably could have been a first-round pick, but he wasn't. So if you take him out, you think about it. When is the last time the Texas Longhorns had an offensive skill position player drafted in the first round? I'll answer that for you. It's Vince Young.
Wow.
And so if you look at all the teams that are winning, they're having guys, skill position players, drafted in the first round. They're winning games. And Colt's team in 2009 and the 2010 championship, they were a very good team.
Right.
But they had a whole bunch of players on defense that got drafted in the first round.
Yes.
Right. And so I think we're not developing players in a way that people are wanting to come there. I think we're not developing players in a way that they're gelling together and putting it out there on the field on Saturdays. And that's a problem. And I don't know why it's like that, because anyone can say that's just coaching. But then it can't all be coaching, right? It can't all be coaching, because if there's coaching and then there's people who are able to be coached. And so sometimes I watch them offensively and defensively, and it just looks like people are lost and they don't know what they're doing out there. And it's so frustrating to me because football is too simple. It's too simple of a game.
It is.
And so it's hard. And it's hard to watch 6-3 when you're supposed to be playing for a championship, but now you got to watch Iowa State playing. Iowa State, come on now.
It's so frustrating for me. And last season I said I can't watch. I just couldn't watch last season. But then this year I'm like, okay, we have a lot of seniors on the team. Herman finally has his guys, his senior class. The schedule was breaking right. You had teams like OU that were rebuilding with a new quarterback. So you figured that this year would be the year. Now, of course, COVID came and it affected a lot of ball clubs. But still, you have to be able to overcome that. And I guess the frustration with me, like you mentioned, we have all these 4 and 5-star kids, and we're continuing to lose to teams like Iowa State. We're losing to teams like TCU that have 2 and 3-star kids. And you're wondering, how are those kids beating us year after year after year? And I was being here in Houston, I got to watch Tom Herman with the University of Houston, those 2 years where he was U of H. And he was so phenomenal in getting those kids hyped up to play the Florida States, the Oklahomas. Whenever the University of Houston was an underdog against a top 20 team, he got those guys so hyped up to play that they were able to go out and win with guys like De'Aaron King and guys like that, Greg Ward at quarterback. But it seems like at Texas, being the favorite, he has a problem getting the kids being able to protect being the hunted instead of being the hunter. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say?
Oh, it definitely makes sense because, I mean, when you're at U of H and you're playing Oklahoma, it's easy to do it one time. It's easy to do it one time and get the hype that you're talking about. But when you're, like you said, the hunted and you're the University of Texas, everybody's getting up for you. And so you have to be able to match that enthusiasm game in and game out. And we're just not able to do that for some unknown reason.
Yeah.
I
Do
mean,
you think, of course, at the beginning of the season, throughout the pandemic, there's a lot of controversy about the school song. There was a lot of controversy about the social justice issues going on with the players in the school and wanting, some of the building's name change. When we were there at Texas, now this is 30 years ago, I
right.
never once personally thought about the words to the school song. It was never a topic of conversation. I never even thought about it until this year, to the current crop of kids brought it up. What were your thoughts on all of the controversy, and do you think it affected the focus of the team going into this season?
My initial thought was, damn, I never knew that in regard to the song and his racial tone, and it'd be harder for me because I'm not from Texas, and so I would never think about. I could see somebody from Texas growing up in Texas and their parents or family being in Texas, and someone be like, "Oh, don't go there. This school, it's racial. They have racial injustice and all these problems going on. Don't go there." I could see that, but for me, I wouldn't get that information, so I really don't know. You wouldn't know, the song. Like I even up until this year, I never knew of the racial tone of the song, and sang it like it didn't even matter, right? Had
Right.
I known, I'd probably be in the same situation as these guys are in now. I would have wanted things changed, and I feel like at that time I would have stuck my name out on my neck out and said, I'm not playing if you're not gonna make changes, because I felt like I was a player on that team who could do that, right? It's always, in order to make change, it's gonna have to be somebody who is known. It's gonna have to be one of the star players that are willing to sacrifice in order to do that. And at that time, I feel like I would have done it. And I think it's hard to say, but I think that while no one will admit it, that it would be something that would kind of separate the team, because players of color feel a different way, obviously, than players who are not of color, and because they don't have to deal with the situation, so they're just like let's just go out there and play, and not thinking of anything of it. Whereas the players, the black players, they're trying to play football, they're trying to go to school, and they're trying to deal with this social injustice, and so they're taking on something that's making it even harder for them to go out there and play football. There's another thing on their shoulders that's weighing them down, and so it's a tough situation, and And I'm proud of those guys. I applaud those guys for making the stands. In fact, there were a couple of us, I don't know whatever happened, that I made a video and sent it to all the black players to let them know that I was behind them and applauded what they do. And if they need anything, just let me know, because I applaud that they were sticking their necks out there, not only for them, but they're talking about this for generations to come of players who might come through there, and it doesn't even have to be players, just black students who might ever touch down on that campus, and so they're looking out for everyone when they're trying to make these changes, and so I'm 100% behind them and applaud what they've done.
Yeah, I give those guys a lot of credit. It takes a lot. It's easy for, I won't say it's easy, but it's easier for a professional athlete to stand up for social justice causes, especially when you already have millions of dollars in the bank.
Right.
When you're a college kid and your future is dependent on you getting to the league or getting a job at an insurance firm or a law office or an engineering company, and you don't have your future set, but you're still willing to put your future and your name and your reputation on the line for some things that you want to stand up for, you can definitely do nothing but applaud those kids that did that. And my hat's off to them. And shame on me for not knowing when we were there what the
Right.
words of those songs, where the origination of that song came from, because it was just something that we never even talked about, never even thought
Right.
about.
Right. You just stepped on the campus, people were singing it, and you just joined on in because you just assumed that was the way to go. And I mean, and these guys did it also until they found out what it was. And so that's what I say. It's got to be somebody, like you said, guys who've already made it in the leagues. It's easier for them to stand up. These guys who are trying to get to the league, it makes it a little rougher. But I think that's why I think I would be able to do it, because at the time I knew I was going to go in the first round, and so
Right.
I could say that. And so that's why I said it takes somebody like a Joseph Asai who knows that it's going to happen for him, barring any injuries or something like that. We knows he's going to the NFL, and so it takes those kind of people to stand up and speak on behalf of the team.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. A couple of more moments before you go, and thank you again very much, man, for taking an hour out of your time to chat with us, chat with Titan Nation, chat with Longhorn Nation. We really, really appreciate it. Couple of more things before we go. Tom Herman, looking at his record, looking at this season, 31-18 overall, only 22-13 in the Big 12 in his 4 years, 3-0 in bowl games, but only 6-3 this season. Do you expect him to be back for a 5th year? If not, do you see Urban Meyer? Do you think someone else? What are your thoughts on the Longhorns coaching situation?
I think it's tough because, I mean, we've definitely underachieved since he's been there. We haven't won a Big 12 championship. Our record as a ranked team against other ranked teams is awful, I believe. Um, and we just haven't done the things that we want. So I don't know, but I don't know if you can get rid of him, right? He just got an extension. You're building a new basketball arena. You're adding on to the football stadium, and that all takes lots and lots of money. So that's like the arenas and stadium are like 450 million. So in order to get rid of them, you're gonna have 60 million total. And so now we're talking about half a billion dollars that you're gonna be spending in regards to your sports programs and now. So I don't know if you do it. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, it's a tough situation because we know he's underachieved, but he's won bowl games. I know if there's someone that can change the culture, can instantly make you a winner with these 5-star players, then you pull the trigger. And it brings me back to they were talking on College Game Day, and Reese Hall, the running back from Iowa State. They said he was talking about Texas has 5-star players, but we're a 5-star culture, and that speaks volumes. You know, it speaks volumes because they're saying we don't have to have 5-star players, and we can still beat you. And so I don't know when I think about, do you get rid of Tom Herman? What speaks volumes to me is Caden Stearns and Sam Cosmi opting out. These guys are captains.
Yes,
They're captains and they're juniors, and they're opting. They're still leaving. I mean, Sam knows he's gonna go in the first round. Caden has no idea where he's gonna go.
right.
And so
Right.
for your captains to opt out, that says something to me about the culture. And so with that in mind, I think then you've got to change the culture, because if it's going down like this, if these guys aren't feeling like they're supported, especially the black kids, when they're talking about the fight song and they're making them still go out there and stand and all that, they're not feeling like they're supported. Why would you want to be there? Why are you going to encourage recruits that come in to come there? And so something's got to change in that respect. And I think right now, with the way it's going, it just doesn't look to me like he has a hand on it. And I've heard things. I've heard some bad things about the players, and not just not liking it down there anymore. And that's a problem. So do you go get Urban Meyer? Well, we know he wins wherever he goes. We know that he'll change the culture, but it's going to have to be, if you do, it's going to have to be a coach who's strong enough to withstand the boosters, because our boosters are heavy into it. So it's going to have to be somebody with a strong mind who can deal with that. And I don't know if some coaches are ready for that. I don't think Charlie was ready for it. I don't think he knew the impact that these boosters would have on his coaching career there. And so you never know. I mean, I know if I could have any coach, I know who I would want it to be. and you want to know too, don't you?
I'm listening. We're all listening. Who do you want?
If I could have any coach, it would be Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan is
a former Longhorn, and he's a former Longhorn. And so he's going to love it like it's his own. He's going to want to make that school a winner.
Is Kyle Shanahan going to leave the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers, to come fix Texas? Do you think that's a possibility?
Money will make anybody move. If he gets if he got a Jimbo Fisher contract, you don't think he would leave?
I think he would. I think he could.
Okay, so if he had a Jimbo Fisher contract, and now you are the CEO of your program, you're running everything. Why wouldn't you?
Wow.
You get to run it. You get to run it like you want.
That's true. That's true.
Because... And that's nothing. That has nothing to do with Tom Herman and what he's doing.
Right.
It's for me. It's just I like what Kyle does with his football team and what he's been able to do with the 49ers and even with the Falcons, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl and they messed it off, but I still like him. And so if we always have someone that we would rather have or not rather have, that we would on our wish list. Everybody wants to have LeBron on their team, whether they say it or not. right?
Right.
So everybody wants Trevor Lawrence on their team, whether they can say it or not. But so in my case, that would be my coach at Texas.
Okay. I can dig it, my brother. I can dig it.
Yeah,
Hey,
I might not ever get him.
Right.
And that's not, and it doesn't matter if I do. But that's who I like.
I got you.
We
No,
like who
I
we
mean,
like, right?
we like who we like. We like who we like. And look, he's a lot younger than Urban Meyer. So if it's a choice between the two, I think I would lean to your side and go with a Shanahan if you could convince him to leave the NFL. You come take over a Texas program where you're going to be given carte blanche to do whatever you want. And as long as you're successful, you have a job for life, because we know in the NFL it's not for long, regardless of the situation. So it can be
Hey,
very long at the University of Texas if everything
hey,
goes well.
hey, you think Nick Saban wishes he would have stayed in the NFL? No,
No.
not at all. He's
No.
doing it his way now, and
Yeah.
winning lots of championships, and probably going to win another one.
Right. And that's why Dabo Swinney will remain at Clemson as well.
Right.
Wow, my man, dropping knowledge. Well, hey, man, you've been with us for an hour. I thank you so much for coming on. Just taking your time out. It was good to reconnect first and foremost, just on a personal level. I'm glad to see you doing well. I'm glad the kids are doing well. And hopefully we can do it again, maybe in January. The Titans and Browns maybe make it to the playoffs. We'll see what happens.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Good deal. My man Eric Metcalf joining us from Seattle tonight, dropping a lot of knowledge about the Browns, dropping a lot of knowledge about the Texas Longhorns, what may or may not happen going forward, what he would like to see happen. So we'll see how all of that goes. I want to thank you guys for joining us here tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your comments. Please, on your way out, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. And I will be back on Monday for the day after show. Eric is welcome to join if he would like in our post game after the Titans beat the Browns. I don't know if he'll be available on Monday. He may disappear, once this L comes. But I'll be back with you guys.
I'm gonna have a victory cigar.
All right, Red R back.
Victory cigar.
All right, my man. Hey, man, thank you for coming on tonight. Guys, go hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You can follow Eric on Twitter. I think he has some Twitter difficulties. He got hacked, so his Twitter account is down right now. So we'll get that out for him once he gets back up on social media. But for tonight, we bid you all a good night. Eric, I will talk to you soon. I'll hit you right after the show. But for everyone else, thank you for joining us tonight, and we appreciate it. And I'll see you back here on Monday on Titans the day after. Hook 'em horns and tighten up.
Go Browns.